My name's Angus Rogers, I'm 29 years old and I live in Bramall, and this is Toy City. My earliest memory is being surrounded by toys, and then as time went on, more and more were given to me, and then eventually I had so many I had to find a place for them. In about 2006, I put them all up in my attic, safely tucked away, and that's when Toy City was born. I make silly little sketches called Wing Wing Shoot Bag, and the character that I've played the most times is a character called Susan Balaka, who is a Russian transgender cop. And one Christmas, a friend of mine made me a clay Susan Balaka figure in a box with a serial number saying 00001 of 1, and it had things like a gun and a feather duster and really silly things. And then a year or 2 years later, another one of my friends got a Doctor Who figure and sculpted my face over this Doctor Who figure and made a Susan Balaka figure. So those are my favourite toys because, again, it's only one and it's of me, and all the celebrities and anyone who ever says, you know you're really making it in the world when you get immortalised as an action figure. So that was one of probably the coolest toy I have in Toy City. It's a great place where you can imagine sort of like I have Rocky figures, and you could have Rocky figures fighting, I don't know, figures from the film The Spirit. And like you get all these characters mixing and mashing, so I've got Street Fighter figures and they can fight the Turtles, and I've got Bucky O'Hare figures that could fight the Toxic Avengers, and Brave Star fighting Captain Planet. And sometimes I go up there and the figures have fallen down, and I always imagine that, like in the film Toy Story, they've come alive when I'm not looking, and they've beaten up like Wolverine on the side, given him a kick and left him on the floor. And it's nice to imagine them coming to life. The fun thing is when you go out and you look for something, you can't just go down like Asda's and pick up this. You've got to really hunt and look for it. Probably spent way too much of my student loan in university on rare Buffy figures, and it was so much fun collecting them, hunting them down. Once I had them all, I had so many that I couldn't display them properly, and about 4 years passed and they just were collecting dust in the corner. I had so many that they were all mint in the box, never took them out. I had some signed, had some pre-production, had some really rare variants that I'd never seen before. And I just thought, look, this is silly. I've collected them all, I've done it. I'm not really into Buffy that more. Not that I don't like it anymore, it's just, it's not as important to me. And I thought, well, I sell them for someone else so they could collect them. Toy City doesn't really come into my everyday life. People could know me for years without even knowing I have Toy City. And even though that I collect toys, it's only a certain amount of people that sort of have the same nostalgic love for me of their childhood. And of course I call it an 80s innocence, because I grew up in the 80s and I had a really good childhood, a really good upbringing. And everyone who goes up to Toy City, the instant they go up there, they start smiling. And I say, look how you're smiling. And I say, whenever you have a bad day or you feel a bit down with how your life is going, you can go up to Toy City and look back and go, look how great things are. Look how great your childhood was, and those fond memories of wanting to be a superhero or a spaceman or a cowboy or anything like that. Look at, you had all those dreams when you were a kid, and just by looking at something, those same feelings can come rushing back to you. When I built Toy City in 2006, I thought it was huge, and I was like, look how big this is, look how massive this is, look how this is probably as big as it'll get. And in the 5 years that it's been going, it's 5 times as big now, because it just keeps getting bigger. More and more things start going up there, and it's growing all the time. So it'll never be complete. It'll never be finished. It'll always be a haven for toys, and it just for me it gets cooler and cooler. Of course, like less people can fit up there, the more stuff I put up there, so only one person can sort of look at it at a time. But that's okay.